Ugh. Yay, I'm in. It says I'm live now. Welcome, welcome. Hello. Hi guys. I'm just gonna move to a better spot here so you can see me a little clearer. Here we go. Is it easier? Yes. So welcome. I just wanted to go live because I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that have been happening and the eclipse that's taking place today. So it has been crazy. There's been a lot of work in separating the dark from the light, which is so bizarre. So I have had a lot of my own pieces come to the surface, things that I thought, okay, this has been processed through. It's not a big deal. It's like things. So, an example, it would be like my high school. I dated a guy for 5 years. We separated. It didn't go well when we separated. There was a lot of cheating on his behalf. So, that kind of stuff came back to the surface, all those feelings. And it was so strange. So what they were saying, I was sort of like, why is this coming up for me right now? And they're like, because there needs to be a clear cut between the light and the dark, none of this gray area. And I was like, well, I thought it was processed. It was all good. And they're like, there's elements in that. Yes, it was good. You processed, yes. But there's elements in that that still needed to come in and come to light, come to the surface. And I was like, okay. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that is clearing for the collective, things where they're like, oh, that was processed. It's no big deal. We are always processing more and more pieces as we incorporate more elements of ourselves back. We see things at a deeper level, and then we can lift more stability, more regulation will allow us to come and lift more of those pieces that we thought had resolved, but it needs to be pulled in at a deeper level. So that kind of stuff has been happening. It's also been happening in my astral fields as well. So I had a dream. The dream was about Debbie Solaris, and what we were doing was we went to like a kids' play area, and it was a park, and they had a slide, and there was these spirits that were living in the slide, in the tube slide. Very strange to me for me. They were saying to me like, no, there's spirits in there and you need to call them out. And I was like, why do I have to call them out? Like, we're all in, do this work. Like, can't you see them? And she was like, yeah, but they're waiting for you specifically to call them out. So I was like, all right. So called them out. The family stood in front of me. There was four, mom and dad and two kids. And I was just sort of like, you guys know that there's probably a better place that we could rehome you to. You don't have to stay in the slide of a public park. And they're like, well, we didn't know where else to go. So my role didn't encompass counseling them and relocating them. They went off with Debbie at that point in time. But there's been a lot of me going into different spaces and places and allowing transitions to take place from whether people are in the light and they need to actually move into the dark. And they were telling me, like, just because they're moving from light to dark doesn't mean they're going from good to bad. It might be that the lessons that they need are actually housed in an area of darkness, and it's perceived by the individual as bad, but it's not as linear and clear cut as white light means good, dark, like darkness, means bad. It's not as cut and dry as that. We have to see everything as a whole instead of like being only partial to one space or another space. We can have negative experiences and still have valuable lessons in that. And that's what they're trying to bring forward, is to not bypass anything that you might view as, well, that's negative, I'm not doing that. No, there's lessons in that. That's absolutely what we're wanting to encompass. So the eclipse today is kind of closing off some of those things. They're like, okay, any unresolved pieces within your life that you actually want cleared in terms of have fully processed things, have memories that randomly just come up. You'll be driving and randomly have a memory of high school, randomly have a memory that encountered an experience with your family, friends, colleagues, coworkers, whatever. These experiences are coming to the surface to figure out, is this going this way, or is this going this way? Where are you placing this? To have another look at it and to process it in a way where you're like, hey, Kelly, and in a way, process it so that you can fully let go of it. And by fully let go of it, let it come to the surface, love that process, love the individuals, shine light on those individuals. Let it be known that you don't carry any animosity, you don't carry any bitterness, resentfulness. It is what it is. It is the way it is. And you are genuinely shining light and love and energy on them because this is their journey. This is your journey, whatever the case may be. But we allow the situation to come to light, shine in love, unhook everything that's involved in it, and it'll allow you and the individual to carry on with their wherever that might be, whatever that might look like. And so, yeah, those situations can come up. Like my high school days was like 20 something years ago, right? So it's shocking to me. Like I don't think of the time frame with my my first boyfriend. Like that's crazy to be thinking about that. It wasn't my thought. It was a clearing of a memory that comes to the surface when we have these random thoughts that come up. So it's important to pay attention to those random thoughts and be like, wait, I remember this intense phone call I had with a colleague like 20 years ago. What's that about? And it is those pieces in our nervous system that pull those memories forward and allow it to be like, okay, where are you processing this? Where are you putting it? Are you putting it as all these lessons of it that you experienced that you originally thought of being in the darkness because you're like, okay, this was a bad experience for me. I did not enjoy it. These people attacked me. These people were hurtful when I was in a vulnerable time. You whatever it was during that moment, you now bring it to the surface. You see the value in those lessons. You love the individuals for being villains in your life, so to speak, at that time. You see the value in it and you love it and flips it to light. And that's how you move from those dark experiences, find the value, bring them to light. And that's where the eclipse is coming off to close off those pieces. You don't have to carry those pieces anymore. You're in a place now where we're closing those chapters on things that they don't serve us anymore. We're moving into a new space, and so anything that you have that might not you might not even know you're carrying, you can bring them forward, and just sort of embrace the experience, see it for what it was, and move forward. And it's such a beautiful way of doing things. So I hope that that has helped people understand a little bit in terms of like this was done to me and this was so awful and this was a terrible time and the cards I was dealt was terrible. Like no, those are all valuable and very good lessons. And now you might be very well experiencing a lesson of forgiveness, lessons around unconditional love, lessons in it doesn't matter about wrong or right or what is or isn't. It's just how can you shine your light and encompass more of that divine energy so that you can continue to grow to help more people. And those that, have their own journey and their own, stories or their own perspectives or whatever, you're not in it to save the world. You're in it for growth, expansion, and shining more of that love. So we're not responsible for everybody. We're responsible for ourselves. So I mean, you live with integrity and authenticity, and your light will show, and those people will just see who you are and what you're about, and it'll just resonate. So I think that eclipse today is kind of just burning through all of that stuff, bringing things to the surface, closing some of those old chapters, showing you like the value of you, showing you the value of the work that you've done, showing, closing off that stuff and opening a new chapter. So we're seeing the new chapter stuff starting to open. Lots of things will shift after this eclipse takes place. We're also seeing a lot of dragon energy, which is awesome. A lot of dragons coming in, one particularly large silver dragon coming in to just like breathe energy over all of Gaia, just kind of holding that space. Um, Lots of just I've been called to work with the light as well as with the dark to kind of clear some of those things out. Um, just all around good beginnings for the day that's coming in. So, do you guys have questions? I know there's some of you watching, and I thought maybe you have questions about the eclipse or what that means or what that's bringing forward. For me, it's bringing in new chapters around different courses I can offer, different memberships I can offer. So I'm offering the Saturday night channeling classes. So it's all things channeling. Expand your channel, learn to channel, clear your channel. Is that me that's channeling? Any of that kind of stuff, we're all doing on the Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tuesday nights we do I don't want to say shadow work, but it's like retrieving pieces of me. It's like soul fragment retrieval, gifts that I've left for myself, guided meditations to find different places and explore the 5D together. So it's like astral traveling together for a purpose, a set intention. So that Tuesday class, same thing, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, and then I've also buddied up with a friend of mine, Glenn, who is a male channeler, and he's coming in to likely teach a Tuesday morning class. And that is going to be all about like Glenn's magic. I'll be probably a guest in his. And so that's going to be super powerful as well because there's not a whole lot of male channelers holding down this space right now. So it's going to be a beautiful thing. And we did morning so that the European time zone can come in and hold space with us and learn and just venture. We're looking at it more like a mastermind, so we can all kind of come in together and we can ask questions, and those questions activate other questions, and those activations can be really deep and powerful. So yeah, we're all looking to see what we can do to offer. And because of this eclipse and because of the new start, I've been allowed to offer more teachings and more of myself. I'm just going to get my cat. He's upset about his life right now. He's outside. It's raining. So yeah, I'm hoping that we can do more and more times together, learning, me and supporting and empowering, and just being with you guys to be able to assist your growth and your ascension journey. Because ultimately, that's what it's about, is how can we support you? Um, yes, I'll post the link to Glenn. He's not got anything up yet. It's still in the works of like us talking it through. So there's no like official link yet. But when it is created, I can put it in for that. He actually probably, I can put a link to his home page because he has his own website. So I can put a link in the thingy for you to check out Glenn and his work and what he does, and his Instagram account because he has an Instagram account too. So that'd be really, yeah, he's just really cool. I had met him during the All Shift Happily Now meditation, and yeah, he could just kind of came forward and said like, "Hey, how can I help? What can I do?" Glenn does a lot of like heart activations, heart centered like work, where he's teaching heart stuff. But yeah, he's amazing when it comes to breaking it down. He used to work with Joe Dispenza, so he was like really big on how the body works, how we can make it work for us, how we can activate different parts, what the parts are for, and how we can include them, and all the little strategies he has in order to like go in and sort of manually kickstart them and activate them. It's been beautiful to watch him work. So yeah, he's coming in on the Saturday that I am away. So I do 3 Saturdays for the membership, and then one of the Saturdays, Glenn will come in and do for the 4th because I'm with Ruben on his membership on the 4th one. So hopefully that'll be pretty special for everybody to see him and learn some of the strategies that he has instead of just from little old me. You will also include him, and we'll have a much more well-rounded take on it all. So it'll be nice. So are you guys feeling the energies from this eclipse? How does it feel for you, everybody? Is it feeling like strong and powerful? I'm gonna sit down. I know, yeah, the astral space has been a lot. There's been a lot of like head cloudiness, a lot of sinus stuff, a lot of postnasal stuff, a lot of like very strange numb feeling in my brain. That has been interesting. I've been really having to just be clear on what I'm doing in terms of like where I'm working. If I'm working, what space I'm working in. If it's light, I'm like very clear and like conscious of pulling that light, holding that light, double checking through that light. Um, because there's a lot of like distortion that was going through. Gaia's energy field feels really good. So we got the new upgrade in September. Um, After the first portal there. Then we went into like the full moon. Yes, headaches and tiredness, definitely. A lot of headaches and tiredness. Hey, Angie. Yeah, a lot of headaches and tiredness, a lot of tension and like pressure. Um, and like it can come and go like very quickly. It can be like, wow. And then you're like, wow, okay, it's clearing already. Or like sudden the other way as well. Like you're just fine 1 minute and you're like, okay, it's just starting to be a lot of pressure here. Um, yeah, it's quite bizarre. But I think that now that we're on the other side of the eclipse, tomorrow it'll start to feel a little bit better. A lot of people being emotional, absolutely. I've been seeing that quite a bit. Can I just light language? Hokoi yeah, 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 yeah. It's just clearing through some of the emotion stuff. When I read your strong emotions, it started like triggering my language to like clear through some of them. Shukotoi, shukadai, shukokokokokokokokokokokoi. Oh, da da dai, keep cookie tokotokoi moyakai. Shh. Totoi, shh. Totoi, toi, toi, shh. So yeah, lots of emotions going on in the space, lots of I was just talking earlier in this live about energy that's coming up through us and bringing to the surface almost like a bowl of water. And at the bottom of the bowl, if there's like sand, you think it's sort of settled, and you're like, "Oh, it's like an experience that happened to me, and the sand has settled, and all is good." And then all of a sudden, like this eclipse comes in and like shakes it up and stirs everything. And you're like, wait, why is this coming to the surface again? Like, why? I thought this was resolved and done, but it had been settled within you. And this eclipse is like, I want that gone. Like, you need to process that. So it comes in waves, kind of to the surface to be processed out. And so, um, yeah, anything that was kind of settled, they're like, let's just stir it up a little bit. And it's been good. As much as it's been like this emotional thing, uh, it's necessary to have a clean slate in order to go into the other side of this. So I'm thankful that the clips has come in and pulled some of that stuff out, which is nice. It's a fresh start. New. It feels a lot like the beginning of the new year where you have like this fresh start because of the new upgrade that Gaia's system had. I had been having to be like super careful around staying connected to the grid, being super careful that her grid is actually growing and expanding and um, like it's almost like a bit of a brain, like these neurons kind of have to wire together and then fire, and they made a root system. So that root system came in, it looked really good. It was maybe 2 days ago where the root system was like really strongly developed. The dragons came in and sealed it and like lit it, activated it, solidified it as one giant solid light, I guess. So that looked really good. Um, so, yeah, there's yeah, a lot of, but also feeling good, and then some low emotions came up and down. Yeah, that definitely normal. We want that to be happening. We want to go in and, like, have those emotions coming up and out and clearing through. They do not want any of those, times in your life where you've had negative experiences or what you might have viewed as a negative experience. I gave an example earlier in the live around my first boyfriend cheated on me, and like I'm, it was in my high school years, and I viewed that as a very negative experience at the time that this was happening, obviously, like, who wants to be cheated on after 5 years? And find out this while I'm, like, walking down the hallway and he's holding hands with his new girlfriend after the weekend. I'm like, "What's going on? How like, am I dumped? Do you know? Hi, remember me?" Like, so it was, like, such an awful experience and feeling like I didn't matter, feeling like, "What if nobody likes me anymore? Clearly, they all like this new girl that he's with." Like, all these things that were coming up, and they were just sort of like, "No, none of those things that you thought at the time were accurate." It wasn't an accurate narrative because what was necessary was that narrative for you to survive at the time, and now you no longer need it. So we're gonna actually stir up the pot, bring up those things to the surface, because it was a random sudden memory while I was driving. So it was so strange to have this, like, girl come to my mind, and that image of them walking down the hallway together, like, was really quite bizarre because I dealt with it, moved on. It's been, like, so many years, like 20 some odd years since then. So, I didn't think it bothered me or held any space in my system, but with this eclipse coming in, they were like, "No, no, no, you're not carrying that into the new side. You're getting rid of that. So, remember what this feels like and now love these 2 individuals. This, the boyfriend that you had and this new girl, like, they are not villains. These are not bad guys. These guys were doing their own thing in their own time. It wasn't personal. It wasn't an attack on you. This wasn't anything but the lessons that you learned in that were, yes, in the dark because you felt so alone and not nice and all these other things. But you actually, once you love and appreciate the lessons that you learned in that, you can flip it to light. You look, that's how you learn things in the dark or because of the dark, and then you can flip to the light. You don't have to be a victim of those circumstances. You don't have to say this was done to me. So this was what happened, and what you did because of that is what flips you to light. And so that's what they were highlighting for me. This wasn't done to you, and it was a memory, and I don't remember it ever because in so many years passed, and that was all kind of resolved in that time. But yeah, Eclipse was like, no, it's not fully resolved. Let me show you. Here you are. So, yeah, you might get a lot of those sudden memories, and it is solely for the purposes of flipping those dark experiences to light, and not being a victim in those anymore. Um, so yeah, roller coasters for sure with emotions. I've had the Gaia system has solid, it's lit, it all looks good. And then what else? They also, once it got up and lit and light and everything was good, they had me go to the dark side and work on the dark part, the shadow part of Gaia, because she is not just one light, she is two pieces, she is a whole. So you have both the parts where we learn in the dark and flip them to light, but then also the parts of the light that we work on, right? So they're like, "Here you go, Natalie, you've done the light, now you're gonna go work on the dark." And it's always interesting when I work on the dark side because you can't see, and you don't get this feeling of this is so bad. I'm in, like, something's going to get me, there's dark entities here. Like, no, that's not what it feels like when you work in the dark. When you work in the dark, it's literally just like the dark. That's it. It feels the same as a light, but there's no light on. And so there's only certain people, that I found that do work in the dark. It's like not everybody does that type of work. Some people will say that they're shadow workers, and that's why they work in the dark. They work with dark pieces or aspects of individuals. But for me, I work in the light and make sure Gaia is lit, but I also work on her dark side and make sure that everything is doing what it's supposed to be doing in that dark side. So today I found a diamond. It was a black diamond, and it was at the very bottom of the dark side. And they were saying, like, we're sending you to the dark side to get this black diamond. And I was like, I don't really understand why to get a black diamond. And they're like, because it's generating light in the dark side, and we don't want there to be light in the dark side. We want it to be dark, dark. And I was like, okay. So they just had me pull it out, and then as I was holding it, it, like, started to transport in itself wherever it needed to be. And it, like, reminded me, like, wait, that happens to everybody. They are exactly where they're needed to be in those moments that they need to be. And it's like, wow. So when I do my work in the astral space, I'm working in somebody's jurisdiction or somebody's area. And that somebody could be like, Natalie, your bright, shiny light cannot be here right now while we're working on this. And they can like move me. And I was like, this was like a massive aha moment for me today. I was like, wow, like some other beings could move me out of that space because that's where they're working on. And it's in the highest good of all for me to not be there and for them to move me. Just like I did with this black diamond. It was actually corresponding to somebody. And this somebody wasn't supposed to be here. Their light was shining too brightly, and I had to move it. So off they went. And I'm like, it's interesting because we don't take offense. I'm not offended when somebody moves me. I know it's for the highest good and that it has to be done in order for everything to ascend. I'm like, this is just so cool. And I remember messaging a friend this morning. I'm like, guess what? I moved a thing. I didn't, it was a task that was assigned to me. So it's not like we asked for permission because we're assigned the task from source and then off we go. So yeah, it was just like, wait. So when I wake up in the morning and I've like been moved, it's because that has happened and needed to have happened. Call? No. Recording. So my kid's playing a game and he needed to know what it said. He's panicking because he thinks he's deleting something. Um, so yeah, I better get going. The kids are like getting antsy, but yeah, lots of aha moments. If you guys want, you can join me tonight when we do our channeling. It's always 3 classes for the membership. The membership's $45 for the whole month. You'll get access to myself and to Glenn, and yeah, we're going to put together a channeling course as well. And we have a group chat. So, yeah, if it sounds like something you want to hang out with us with, let us know. And also, of course, the Tuesday night. Anyways, guys, thanks so much. Bye for now. Bye.